Duane?
Yes, I'm here, Charles. Hello. Hello, Charles and
Oh,
Miriam. Yes, go ahead.
yeah. This is a question by I think it's a very new friend. Mariam says the other new friends are still they are yet to come because there's traffic jam and the situation back there is not very promising, but they are making an effort to come. So this the first friend here is Fiston, and his concern is that uh, while he was in a kanka, he used to have dreams with the real guides who were called masters at the time, and he could recognize them. And now that he's with the new presentation, he has dream experiences with real guys that he can't pinpoint exactly who they are. So, but I think he would love to talk to the real guides he knew, like Rebesatas, Katadaki, Pythagoras, and all that, and all those other guides. So he's in a sort of quandary now. If he has a dream and discusses with the real guides, maybe they give him a solution to some problems. But then uh, down, when I say what is it, down or up in the physical on the physical level, uh, how would he uh, be sure that these are the real guides because he cannot recognize them. So I don't know whether you can clarify this.
Okay, yes, well, there's many ways to see it, Charles. And so there's really no absolute answer for anything because there's so many ways to go with things and it all works. And so it's kind of like when we go through school, we have teachers and whatever as an example. And as we go on, we go to college and universities, and then we meet different people. And, we like the teachers that we had. But, if he really takes a look at his life and what he's deciding also, etc., the boys are going to give him more experience. They're going to give him more experience with others. And even just like the experiences that we have with Harold and Joni and everything like that, he's going to have, with us, he's going to have all kinds of experiences. In Eckankar, that was like the babysitting times where it was like your mother being there all the time. That's the idea. It's like, oh, the master is there and the master is taking care of me. Well, now it's just like when you leave your parents, all of a sudden life is bigger. Your parents aren't there anymore and you go out into life and you have to figure it out for yourself. So the boys are still there. It's just now he's come to that point where he has to step up and decide what he's going to do, just like a career. So this is where you start to recognize your real purpose. Yes, in the corporation, yes, we all had experiences there, which were lovely, okay? But now all of a sudden life is a lot bigger. And look at where he is in Africa, and the world. The world's dying. The world's poisoned and polluted. So this is part of the wake up also. Everything is part of the wake up. It's just not being with a babysitter all the time. Now you need to decide, you need to recognize what's going on, and you need to see how to stand real and do something with the whole of life. That's what we are. That's what the new presentation is. We're everything. So, yeah, it's a bigger picture, And it takes a while to recognize it, because this is where you get into the real universes. You cannot basically get into the real universes, you might say, just being babysat, because the master cannot think for you. You have to go on this adventure yourself, and that's what we've done. We've created this adventure for everybody so they can eventually recognize it's not just a mental, emotional thing like with the babysitters. It's far more than that. And as he goes along, he's going to get experiences that show him that. Now, within the Friday groups where Sam is, I mean, the Asians, their experiences are a huge variety of things, etc. And I know that how each one of us is raised is a particular. So this is why we have the Skypes. Look at the variety of experiences that we're going through to eventually become self-sufficient. Eventually, how are you going to become self-sufficient if you just keep looking to somebody else? The guidance is there, okay, but at the same time, you need to step up and decide something. That's what we're doing, and this is why most people really cannot see what we're doing, because again, they want to be babysat. They want to pray to their gods. They want to worship and get down on their knees. Well, that's fine. Go do it. But that's not what we do. We're real. We step up. And the boys are the same. They're now. It's not the old days. It's now. So his experiences are greater, but it's going to take him a while to recognize them. Charles, thank you for asking. Go ahead.
Okay, Duane, Fiston has a second question, which is tied to his existential experience here on this level of life. He's a musician. He writes. He produces music. He can. He's a songwriter, and he can compose music. In fact, but the paradox is that his music doesn't do well when he himself takes charge of everything, writes the songs and produces them. And then the fun is that when he gives out his compositions to other musicians, he sells them sort of for very little money. What they receive and produce becomes a great success, and everywhere people like those songs, and the musicians to whom he sells his compositions, they do very well. Their lives, in terms of financial well-being, they are fine. But then he who is the originator of the music, he's in very bad straits. And then he also realizes that in other religions, like he has colleagues who are maybe musicians too, who are of other religions, and they do very well. And their physical lives are really admirable. So he wants to know, where is the problem? Is it that the new the new teachings don't cater to one's physical well-being, or is it that the other religions have the other group? I don't know what to say, what I call them. It's just a comparison, because the new presentation is not a religion. But he says the other musicians in other groups, they do very well, but he doesn't do well at all. Is it that they have something very special that the new presentation doesn't have, or what's the matter? That he can't make ends meet, but what he gives out to others makes them very successful, but he's just scratching. He can't make ends meet. He can hardly put food on the table for his family. So he wants to know what's actually the matter. Yeah, Duane?
Okay, well, this is a question many people have. All right, let's keep it simple. Okay, of course, the first idea is that, oh, it has something to do with the new presentation. Well, the new presentation is simply a reference to the all is that life is. That's what the new presentation is. And also, when he was in Ekankar or with religion or whatever, those are created things accordingly. So again, this is a business world. And if you just do business, I can go out and do what Donald Trump does. I can create many corporations and I can be a multimillionaire. I can do that. I can spend my time doing that. But by doing that, I will not be doing what I'm doing here. And yeah, it's just like the whole of life. It's like the sun shining. How many people look at the sun shining? Just about nobody. And it's just like the number of us here. Yeah, it is a struggle to, and it really is a struggle to recognize the whole of life and become self-sufficient. It's a lot easier to just go along with what's taking place here. In other words, this is really a swampland, SWAMP. This is a swampland, and people are living in the swamp thinking that, oh, gee, this is how we survive. And they're not seeing it. Look at the culture of today. It's all poison, polluted. The vibrations are bad, everything, but it's working in the swampland. And so if people want to stay in the swampland, they can. They can be successful in the swampland. And that's as far as they'll go. Yes, now you're dealing with the whole of life, which is unseen, which is the isness. Again, when you're with the babysitters, when you're with the masters and gurus of the past, when you're with your parents of the past, hey, when you left the house and you went out on your own and you had to struggle to, have your own life, it's so much easier. This is where many people actually go back to their parents because it's like, oh, gee, this is too hard, Dad and Mom. I like it better when you support me. Well, again, yeah, there's a bigger picture and a learning curve. One of the Asians years ago wanted to leave his country because it was really bad, really bad. And so he went to Canada, and he knew that he would have to go through a huge struggle, and he did for many years. But finally, he figured it out. So, yes, I go through the struggle too. I do. Because I gave up my great business to do this, and I struggle. A lot of people think I have all kinds of money. I don't. I barely make the rent. And now Kelsey and Val are here. They're helping me out. We're all helping each other so that I survive too, because there's a bigger picture coming, and it takes a while longer. I've decided a much bigger picture. It takes a while longer. So yes, when you look at the physical situation, yeah, we see a lot of people are doing very good. And I could go do any of these things. I had my own business, but I'm only doing this because we only have so much time. And so now, from the days of the corporation and the religions and the so-called spiritual paths and whatever it is that a person was involved in, oh yeah, these things are very, very popular to the unaware. And they all get together and they support each other. That's what they're doing. It's all about agreement. Well, here it's a bigger picture. Now you're going into the skies. You're going into the real universes. And it's up to you to recognize this, or you don't, or you stay in creation. So yes, I understand it is a struggle, and it's a learning curve like anything to go through. And I remember my former wife, she became a teacher. She had to go through about 4 years of college. Then she had to teach for a year free, and I supported her while she did that. And so we all go through our learning curves. And now the new presentation, because it is to recognize the isness of life, this is something that you cannot even consider. And so very few people see it or will go through it because they'll just take the knowledge. So yes, it is a struggle. It really is. It's not la la land like the babysitters. This is why many people go back, because they're looking for it to be done for them. And so as long as they're looking for that, then they're going to stay in this one dimension. Hey, you can have your happy little life. I see a lot of people that have been introduced to the new you, and they have their happy little life. But it can be figured out. But it takes a whole lot to do it because it's a much bigger picture. So there's no guarantee. The only guarantee there is you figuring it out, is you recognizing it. Now, I look at Miriam as an example, and yourself. You know, you guys are doing this, you kids are doing this, and you're figuring it out at the same time. You're stepping up. And so it's getting beyond asking for something. It's actually doing it. And yes, you have to figure it out. It's just like me with my books. They're not big sellers. I have given most of my books away to the world, but I see the end result is eventually it will come around. But in the meantime, yeah, I've went through a lot of struggle for a lot of years, a lot more than most people. And yeah, I too wondered about things. I wondered who would step up. And this is just how it is sometimes. So it's like Africa with the water and the situation and the governments. Yeah, we'd like it to be better. We'd like there to be no chemtrails, no radiation, no Fukushima, no vaccines, no GMO food. But this is what we have to deal with, and we got to figure it out. Or we just go back into la la land and pretend that it's all okay. And we just go back into the system and we do what the system does. In other words, we do our part to contribute to the demise of the world. Yeah, it's a big choice. This is a hard choice to make. Yeah, there is no answer. You are the answer. You decide. You decide to recognize the isness. And it may be starting a new career or whatever. Hey, I went from construction to being the writer, to being the developer, to all these things, the educator, creating new careers. The answer is within yourself, and it's what you decide and experience. So yeah, it's a bigger picture because the isness is totally unique, and if you don't take the time to see it, then you won't, because it's everything. That's where the boys stand real, and it is a huge struggle. It's really a huge struggle. Even the people that see it, they still struggle. I still struggle every day because I'm on the earth with this body. It's not easy. So things become simpler and simpler for me, but at the same time, I'm doing a whole lot behind the scenes that most people have no idea what's going on. But eventually it will come to be because the boys are there. So again, I know these are just words, but yes, there is a struggle to it. And so again, just like leaving your parents and going out there and starting a new career or a job, there's a struggle to it. And that's just how it is. So it's not just from one babysitter to another. And this is where I suggest to, people get together, decide something, work off of each other, get ideas. Everybody has experiences. I learn a whole lot from these Skypes. I hear the experiences of others. This is terrific. And then I implement these things and share, and then I expand upon these things for everybody. Because this is how life is. We support each other. It's not the me thing anymore. There's a bigger picture. So, yeah, now you have to be creative on your own. It's a bigger picture, not just being taken care of. And yeah, Paul went through it too. Paul had, he went through a lot of things. He had the house, he had a happy house, he had his marriage, he had all this stuff. Well, when he came and finally met Rebbe after going through all those teachers, everything went away. He ended up with nothing. And he had to start over. And so this is just like that. It's a new position. But to see this isness, it is everything. It's more so than anything we've gone through before. And actually, as you start to recognize this isness and bring it into your life, you'll see that these other things on the earth mean absolutely nothing at all. Nothing. I don't care what idea, whatever. Because the wholeness of life, the isness life is already perfect and complete. There's nothing you can decide to add to it to make it better. So it is recognition. Yeah, this is huge. This is huge. Because again, what Paul set up, it was to look to the master, etc. Well, again, now it's look to the is, recognize the is. This is a big step. Yeah. Yes, Charles. I hope you understood some of that.